And there we are. Awesome. Well, official welcome to the call, everyone. Thank you for being here. As we were just saying, it has been quite a week, and we know there's probably been a variety of emotions and feelings, and so we're very lucky to have Mike Wilson from NCFF, Joe Nordlinger from NCFF, and Eric Hernandez, our Deputy Fire Marshal, join us this evening and give us some thoughts and background on the last week and answer some questions if you have them. So with that, I think, Sherry, we hand it over. If one of you gentlemen would like to join in, and Sherry, I don't know if you want to just pull up the slide from the Pickett Fire.
All right. If it's okay, I'll go ahead and get started. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Thank you so much. And I apologize. I'm actually on the side of the road right now, so I apologize if I can't turn my camera on. But thank you, Sherry and Lori, for giving us an opportunity to address our Fire Safety Council leads. Obviously, it's been a busy week. And I know a lot of you guys might have questions, but here's the latest of what we have right now. As far as the Pickett Fire, the fire started back in Thursday, so there's no secret about that. Right now, the acreage has remained the same as of yesterday, so the fire's not growing. It's 6,803 acres. And then it's in the footprint of the glass fire. So east of Pickett, south of Livermore, west of Edna, and north of Frisian, north of outside of the community of Angwin. We have 25% containment as of right now, and we have over 2,800 people assigned to the incident, which include helicopters, dozers, water tenders, hand crews, night flying helicopters, and also fixed wing, so air tankers as well. One of the highlights from yesterday is I can tell you there's been over a million gallons of retardant that have been dropped and delivered to the actual fire within the fire. Some of the challenges that we're facing right now is it's in the mountainous area, so it's a very remote, steep area where access is a little bit difficult. However, my messaging for this for the fire safe councils is, we spend over 5 years, a little bit over 5 years, talking and preparing, talking about the defensible space, talking about fuel reduction projects, talking about partnerships, community preparedness, community engagement, having a plan, go bags. Our sheriffs have been with us all along, and I want to make sure that I give credit to them. But more importantly, the Fire Safe Council leads, are the ones that are really assisting us in getting that message to your community members out there. And I want to express my gratitude for that, because one of the things that I can tell you,
Yeah, we kind of lost you, Eric.
incident. Okay, you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Now
you're
we
sort
can.
of breaking up in and out, Eric.
Oh, okay. Is that better?
Still pretty garbled.
Excited to hear the one message.
Darn, right at the best part.
I know.
Hope you all
Hold
are
on,
feeling the
hold on.
love. There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I'm not moving, I'm parked. So honestly, the partnership that you guys have with us, I've been hearing a lot from firefighters, from division chiefs, everybody that's been coming to the fire has been telling us how easy it is to protect homes if the fire would have came out of the perimeter. But more importantly, they were telling us how happy they were that they were able to engage and go direct to the fire with all the fuel reduction work. I can tell you, I've been hiking the last couple of days, and firsthand can tell you that and confirm that some of the projects that were implemented by NCFF, the strategic dozer lines have not only acted as for fire access roads to 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 um, to allow firefighters to quickly engage direct and get direct to the fire, but also our dozers that we've deployed, which has been over 30 dozers. they were actually able to use those and extend out of those dozer lines, and basically interconnect throughout the entire perimeter. So I really want to express my gratitude to NCFF, but also to all of the Fire Safe Council leads, because you guys are our voice. You're our boots on the ground. Now, let's not get complacent. You know, we have a lot of resources assigned to this incident. The reality is we are still in peak fire season. So there's nothing that says that we're not going to have more fires. This is a time where we turn the page, and we remember, and we once again reaffirm our community members that there is always work to be done. Let's continue staying vigilant. Let's continue to ensure that all of our properties are fortified and we have the right mindset that we are ready. One of the best things, that the best stories that I can tell you is the unification, the level of excitement that and respect that we have been getting. And when I say we, it's not just the fire department, it's the sheriffs. Thanks to, and this is all thanks to all of you. So just so you know, we are making a difference, and this is a prime example. This fire is a prime example that what we've been talking about over the last 5 years, it actually works. So let's continue the messaging, and let's not let our guard down. And once again, on behalf of Chief Greenberg, Chief Ryan, we want to express our full gratitude to all of you for the continuous partnership and advocating for our mission, which is continuing to build fire resilient communities. That's all I have.
Hey, Eric, I just want to say it was great to see you on the news, and it just made me really proud of all the work that we have done and how you represent us. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for those kind words.
All right. Any other questions for Eric while we have him so that he can safely get back into traffic from the side of the road?
I have a question. I sort of know the answer, but I want to be able to tell other people a correct answer. Regarding the 1,000,000 gallons of retardant dropped, is there any kind of environmental damage that retardant might be causing? Obviously, the fire is worse, but for like long-term watershed stuff.
I can take that, sure, if you want.
Well, I can send you guys a fact sheet that includes all the information in relation to that talks about the environmental impacts.
Great.
So I'll send it to Sherry. That way you could have firsthand factual document.
That would be helpful because there may be people, that ask about it.
No, absolutely. And before I forget, so every day at 10 a.m., there is a cooperators meeting at Base Camp. Base Camp is located on 3rd Street in Napa City Fairgrounds. And everybody's invited. That's open to the public. So I would personally like to invite all of you. It's held every day at 10 a.m. and I would love to have all of you there if you're able to make it. And whether you have any questions, this is your opportunity to ask questions. I mean, you guys have it in by reaching out to me directly, but just know that I would love for you to come out, see Base Camp, and know what the boots on the ground and all the command staff is doing to protect and to continue extinguishing this fire.
And Eric, that's also available on Zoom, correct?
It is available on Zoom, but I would love for you guys to come and see all the resources firsthand, and then also see what a base camp looks like.
I can speak to that as Pam Bergman. I was there on Monday. It is unbelievable. It is a full military operation. And I think it is worth your time to stop by there to see the meeting in person and see how much support is in the room for the cooperators like all of us. So thank you, Eric, for the invitation. And I highly recommend everybody goes down there while base camp is still there.
Thanks, Pam.
And one more question. What is there an estimate about how many more days or weeks this might be happening?
No, there is no estimate. There's a lot of things that take into consideration weather, So, the problem is if we say 1 week and it's not done in that week, then people are going to start freaking out. So for us is we'll continue strengthening containment lines, not only on the perimeter, but now that we have made different types of road systems that we've actually been able to construct thanks to the work that NCFF has done. And we can actually go direct to remote areas of the fire interior and put out hotspots. The crews have been putting up T-posts with chicken wire to make sure that none of that rolling material will get out outside of the perimeter. So that all that work continues.
Hey, Eric, do you want to, there's some 6 o'clock Facebook Live event. Do you want to speak about that? Is that something that's for this audience to know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So every day at 6 o'clock, we do a Facebook Live through Cal Fire LNU social media Facebook. So you're more than welcome to join. It's every day at 6 o'clock. We do English first, and then I follow up with the Spanish version. So it's all live, and you have an opportunity to ask questions, and we'll make sure we're answering them.
And if you
I'm
have
actually
watched on Watch Duty, they have a live link to that. So if you can also just go into your Watch Duty and at 6 o'clock, tap the live link.
Well, all right, everybody. I have to go.
Safe travels, Eric. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eric. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Thank you, Eric.
Joe and or Mike, if one of you wanted to add
Go ahead,
any
Joe.
Yeah,
thoughts?
I'll just highlight a couple things and Mike can kind of get into more details. But I mean, just following along with what Eric mentioned, we're really fortunate with this particular fire. There weren't a lot of there really aren't any other regionally competing fires, so there were a lot of resources available. We had very good weather. That weather should hold, although we do have some higher temps this weekend going into next week. But no wind. I mean, this was a terrain and fuel driven fire, so we got pretty fortunate. Because there wasn't other stuff going on, all the volunteers in the valley, the paid staff in the valley were able to respond until some of these mutual aid agreements kicked in. So I think from Firewise's standpoint, we want to learn what happened and which of our projects were used. We just want to remind everybody that we still got a lot of fire season left, good 90 days potentially. So stay vigilant and stay focused. And, hopefully we manage our way through the balance of this summer. And thanks for everybody's good work and awareness. It's pretty important when it comes to making these things go smoothly. I'll hand it over to you, Mike, and then I gotta jump to another thing here.
Good deal. And just give me the hook when you want me to stop talking, Lori.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
everybody. I'll catch you later.
Thanks,
Have a nice
Joe.
evening.
Thanks,
Thanks a
Joe.
lot.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, so let's back up to the entire footprint. I have this layer that I just got not long before this call. That's basically all these lines that have something to do with the fire, right? So right now, let's just kind of look at you got Pickett Lane down here, the point of origin somewhere in here. You got Dutch Henry Canyon up in here. This is that Rattlesnake Ridge. You got Frisian Drive, Frisian Lakes down here, so coming out of Angwin, and then you got Summit Lake Drive up in here. You got 8th Grade Road here, and then here is a dozer line that we've maintained for the second year in a row with Napa Valley Ventnor funding, and we were actually just finishing up or putting the final touches on that when the fire started. So our dozer was out here, and Randy was working away, so he continued and buffered that out even better. Our Firewise folks on the staff who actually jumped in fire engines and went were Joe, Mossy was not available, but Joe, Steve, and Jonathan. Steve Burgess and Jonathan Nixa. So they were out there at one of the first engines in on Pickett Road. All through that first night and into the next morning. So you can reach out to them for some good early on war stories. And I think Steve's on the call here, and I think Jonathan joined as well. I saw. So So I was just kind of monitoring from my house, and I'm like, 32-year firefighter wants to get in the car and go to the flame, but I had some restraint, and I was just getting screen grabs and map stuff and shooting it off to JC and Eric and different people on the fire, Ryan Isham. And so I continued doing that, and then Ken Pridmore came over, and we were just kind of communicating with some of the guys on the fire. And then we heard, and let me zoom in here. This is Dutch Henry Canyon here. We'd done some pretty good work with the land trust to get us up into here, and including this small line coming up here. We opened up an old kind of mid-slope road coming around the spur ridge and up here. We did what we could. For the first time, the land trust let us masticate in here, so that was good, but only big enough kind of for like UTVs or pickups to get through, not fire engines or anything else. So we did that all the way up and got up to the ridge. And this was when, Steve? It was this last spring. So that was something we did. That was through Calistoga Fire Safe Council. Peter Mondavi had let us know about this. JC and I hiked it a couple years ago up in here. And so that was really neat to see some of those actual lines being used for access. And then they went ahead and created a whole bunch more stuff. I think I have these symbolized as orange being dozer lines. Maybe I don't take that to the bank, but I'm pretty sure this, and then the blue is a hand line, meaning just scratch line with hand tools. So yeah, they were able to use that, bolster it, and then hold it. Obviously, once I heard the fire had passed here, getting up, heading towards Potato Hill, Ken and I knew that from what we'd been up there doing, that the dozers and stuff should really come in through Anglin. So we reached out to Ryan Isham, and then we took our UTV on the trailer out Friesen Drive and staged here. And Isham used the bed of my truck and ran the fire from here for quite a few hours that first night. We were telling them Candlestick Ridge and then trying to tie back into Summit Lake. And we'd already taken Ryan Isham up there earlier, so he knew the area as far as what lines we were looking at opening up on land trust. So that was good. This stuff that Eric said in the middle of the burn would have been, these are existing roads going through the preserve. So those are what they're able to use to get an interior and put out hotspots and stuff. Then there was one little spot over here that they did ask our dozer to put in, because our dozer operator, Randy Pridmore, did a full career of CAL FIRE, and he had put this line in over here in 2020. So, we gave the incident our dozer and operator for that second day, and he was able to knock that out. The landowner was really worried when he was doing it because of how much damage got done in 2020, because they did it in anger, but Randy took his time and didn't mess up any of his plumbing and stuff that got messed up last time. And now the guy wants us to come back and do that same line every year through a fee-for-service thing. So it's pretty neat how that worked out. And then, I worked, a lot of other stuff at the end of Etna Springs Road. The land trust had done work out there through their preserve. And so that helped as well. So overall, unless there's any questions or anything else that Steve or Jonathan would like to add, let's talk a little bit.
Yeah, I heard that the Garners came down from Lake County and they were on their dozers. Were they up by Etna Springs? Is that where they were?
Yeah, I don't know that name.
Oh, okay.
A lot of private dozers were called into the incident.
Yeah.
Just to let you guys know that we're still maybe going to help. What Eric didn't explain on the operations things are still going. They're still mopping up, putting out hot spots, maybe doing a little bit more burnouts. I'm not sure. But now it's turned into a huge fire suppression repair effort, because everywhere where there was dozer line, they'll now go in and try to knock off those berms, put water bars and rolling dips through those. So the potential there to be able to utilize our dozer for that. But if not needed, that's okay if they got private equipment. And we do have our second dozer over in Capel Valley putting reinstalling the lines we did last year around the R Ranch, especially before the holiday weekend, which is really good timing, both to protect the that ranch, which Lon could speak to that ranch. It's pretty well populated on the big weekends, and right up next to the slope and the brush and such. So anyway, that's a little bit of that. Go ahead now.
Mike, just a quick question about those new dozer lines. Is there a pretty good understanding and agreement between all parties that once those are cut, they should be repaired and maintained as access for future fires?
We try to work
Maybe
that
not
out
all
with.
of them, but
Oh, yes. Are you talking the ones on? Yeah,
yeah.
the one. A lot of them maybe would be lines going to nowhere that didn't tie in, or the fire went around them, and they might not have. They might have rocked out on a ridge or something. So then it could be more of a check line, which is, an area to kind of hold the fire. But so some of those may not want to be maintained completely, but the ones that tie in, like down Rattlesnake Ridge and all through here, a lot of them hopefully can be maintained and kept. And then,
So some of your work may be done. That's good. Yeah,
yeah,
getting done. Yeah.
but then it'll add to the whole pot of dozer lines that we're trying to maintain countywide, and we're over 170 miles of dozer line that we'd already, not just dozer line, but I should say fire roads, and dozer line, because most of the stuff we try to use is an old existing road or old dozer lines that were put in old fires. And I have maps that we started tracking this in 2012 at Cal Fire. So when I got this job, I got that data, and there's over 450 miles now, and that was 4 years ago. So there's probably more mapped. There's 450 miles that I know of that are mapped that we could go in and assess to maintain beyond that 170. So yeah, I don't know of any other. Yeah.
It's really exciting to see some of that institutional knowledge be institutionalized, I guess, so that we really are learning from what we've done. That's
Yeah.
that's
And the
cool.
beauty of all this GIS data is it really, even if somebody gets hit by a bus and the institutional knowledge goes, that you still have the data. You can still get out there on the ground and see if something's worthwhile to maintain or reopen or.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, it's Pam Bergman. Did any of the fire touch up against Robert Louis Stevenson Park?
I am the least familiar. I know it did because you were, I don't know if you were at the cooperators briefing, but State Parks was there. I think it was the day that you and Brandon were there. I know it did, and if Jonathan or anyone else has any more knowledge, I know they tried to open up, the road coming up and through there, but State Parks kind of had them adjust that plan. I don't know the details there. Needed to use something rubber tracked or instead of regular dozers or something, but it didn't penetrate too far in. You can kind of see it through here, Pam, where it progressed in south of Bald Hill.
And are we to the point where we could say anything we did to help prevent the handoff from either land trust or state park into private land was effective? Do we know that yet, or we need a little more time with this?
I think this area we have some really good winds from Pickett to Dutch Henry and over to Lamell. We just have not been able to crack your nut to try to do anything over on the side. It's tough with the land managers up and through here. So
Understood.
yeah.
Well, it's nice to hear the land trust side of it went really well and is a good example of public land.
Yeah, and there was a lot more on the land trust that we're hoping to do in future years. So this, and I'm, very tied in. We're very tied in with Mike Palladini and Tasha, and I think this kind of opened their eyes to not all fires are big wind-driven fires. You got the Rocky and Jerusalem fires in Lake County. Those things were just like this. They just every afternoon they stood up and went as soon as it got dry enough, and then calmed down a little bit, and it was just a big field-driven fire. But every single wind-driven fire the wind event collapses, and then you have a fuel and topography driven fire after that, right? So that's when these type of lines do work for air tankers to bolster them and dozers and engines to get access to them. So it's worth doing these things. The way I was telling Ann Cottrell the other day that, you know, we're living with climate change driven wildfire now. That wasn't even a thing for most of my career. You know, we called the Santa Cruz Mountains the asbestos forest because you never went there for anything, any fire of any size, right, Lon? You did as many years as I did. Um, and you know, now you see big fires in the Santa Cruz Mountains year after year. So we have to meet the fires where they're at with as kind of as close to as aggressive vegetation management, ridge line access roads to the ridges. Obviously, along our roads, that's always number one, and around our communities first. But then these remote lines really need to come up higher on the priority level, countywide
Yeah, and that Ridge
and
Line
agency.
project from Diamond Mountain all the way down to Mount Veeder that has been on the project map. Just this calls out the need for that
Yeah.
more. And it does seem like the wind-driven fires, when you're near a lot of public land like this, while the breaks are helpful, the forest health issues are really what's going to drive those problems being handed off from public lands to private owners. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I
Appreciate
mean,
the-
the more you carve these up too during fires, that just means there's better burn units that you could then do low intensity prescribed fire. I mean, if these lines are maintained as well.
Agreed. I feel like it prioritizes forest health and prescribed fire in these large swaths of public owned land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
I'll zip it because we're at about 5:30 and plenty more things to talk about probably. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Steve, or I don't know if Jonathan is still on, if either of you wanted to add anything. I mean, yes, we have an agenda of items, but we knew going into this meeting that this is why we wanted to gather all of you together, to have the opportunity to speak with Mike, to hear from Eric. We thought this was really the key thing that we would all want to connect on this evening. So
Mike covered it, and I'm just so ecstatic that we gained access to this part of the county just this year, and then we used our dozer roads just this year. It's really incredible, the timing of it, and I'm super proud to be part of it too. And the fact that we helped clear those trees and roads, and they could do hose lines on them and get people and hoses and water up into those remote, hard to access areas. And another thing too is the land trust. A lot of people hike up there. There's a lot of medicals, and driving on the Oat Hill Mine Road has been impossible. And now we've got these other ways to get up there and get patients off the hill. So these roads aren't just for fire; they're for people too. So I'm excited to see where this is going. And thanks everybody, and especially I'm assuming it was Peter Mondavi back in the beginning that proposed this idea, and then JC scouted it, and then it got done. So it's just so exciting to be part of it.
Thanks for jumping on it the first night.
Yeah, that was fun. I got a burrito out of it. So yeah.
Jonathan, anything you wanted to add?
You're easy, Steve.
I got a burrito up here, Steve, if you want to come hang out. Bring a dozer, what the heck?
I have a question actually about wildlife. It's my impression the fire was pretty intense, and yet maybe not just like a huge firestorm the way maybe the glass fire was. Is it possible that it was moving at a slow enough rate, at least in certain areas, that allowed wildlife to sort of run away, birds to flee, or anything like that?
I can say that in my 32 years of going fires from 87 to 2020, I do not remember seeing, count on one hand the dead animals I've seen on a fire.
Great.
It's amazing. Lon, did you have anything there?
Lon, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself. Nope, still muted.
While we wait for Lon, I did see a deer kind of hop out of the area on that first night down there. And then it was pretty slow, and there's unburned lands on both sides of it. So the wildlife's just going to move. It's
great.
not nesting season right now, so I'm not super worried about birds. And
Really
then,
stunning.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
There's Lou. There's Lon.
Yeah, no, I've had a similar experience to Mike with wildlife. And I think, what was really something to watch on this incident was, this was a fuel and topography driven fire. And it was much different than the glass fire. And it's much different than the high hazard time of the year that we face here in Napa. So this was obviously a very significant incident that had a lot of good outcomes from some of the resilience work that Firewise did. But everyone needs to buckle up. This is going to be the most dangerous part of the season as we move forward into the late fall, early winter. But yeah, the animals really can't escape in these kind of fuel driven fires. They're pretty crafty. They survive a hard life. But when they get caught in the north wind type events and you start to get spot fires everywhere, it becomes a lot more dangerous for animals and people alike.
Yeah, the most animals I've seen would have been along Soda Canyon Road, but those were domesticated cows during the 2017 Atlas fire.
Words out of my mouth. Yep.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any last questions or thoughts?
I just will say that I finally sold the property at the end of Friesen Drive to somebody after 2 years, and they were so grateful to have all the fire guys at the end of Mike Davis's vineyard there. So I got just a really warm thank you from them. And I had another client on Crystal Springs, and she came home and you'd done a dozer line all around her property, and she was eternally grateful for that. So thank you for those things.
Yeah, the Friesen Drive folks did come up and talk for quite a while. They were pretty worried, obviously, but thankful it turned out well over there.
Well, thank you all. Thank you so much. And for the wildlife, Pepperwood Preserve did a really interesting study where I think they radio collared or they used their wildlife cameras to track where wildlife moved around on at the Pepperwood Preserve, which is further at it's kind of north or west of Calistoga, up in the Wycomico. Anyway, the takeaway was that the deer kind of just moved out of the way of the fire and came right back after the fire was over. But it is true with a larger fire, you do see more animals with the singed paws or badly injured. So they largely they can get away or burrow down into the ground if they're small. But it is. Anyway, so the Stephanie provided us with some incident photos. We could scan through those at the end of the meeting if anyone's interested. And when we send this link around, to be able to take a look at those as well.
There's also, this area, I forgot about this earlier. There's a huge network of wildlife cameras up there. And hopefully they had downloaded the material recently, but they're going to be able to probably compare animals, next year to this last year. So there's a lot of data about what wildlife lives up there. There's a ton of bears, so they probably just moved.
Yeah, that's a great point. That'll be really interesting. We'll have to have the Land Trust join us on a future call and give us the ecological response to the fire.
That would be very interesting, actually, Sherry. I'd vote for that.
Yeah. Am I hearing right? Then are you saying that a great deal of this land area is land trust area versus private property? Or I missed some of the early part of the meeting, unfortunately, but is it a lot of land trust area?
Yeah, just share it again. Here's
Okay.
State Park, Land Trust, vast majority is Land Trust.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Um,
Can you see, do you want to see your
I'm
screen
sorry, I
here?
didn't actually share, but
Here,
yeah,
go ahead. Take
yeah,
it away.
you guys,
There we
that's
go.
okay. So, yep, quite a lot, and state parks, and then that biopreserve over here, near Etna Springs.
Does the land trust say to let it burn? Is that sort of their, this is where it gets so tricky, you know?
No, no. Here's the thing. As far as a lot of people ask, how come the Forest Service does the managed fires, whereas Cal Fire does an aggressive initial and extended attack? Basically, it comes down to Forest Service manages fires on their lands they're tasked to protect. Cal Fire responds to private, public, all kinds of mixed of lands. So they don't have the ability to, they'll a lot of times like on fires like this, they'll do dozer lines down at the toe of the slope and let it come down to those dozer lines or fire out to bring it down to those dozer lines. Um, but as far as just let it burn, sometimes you'll have large ranchers at the incident-based cooperators meeting saying, hey, if it gets in here, it's good for the deer hunting or whatever, just let it come through. Maybe sometimes that can be, but it's not a thing really with CAL FIRE as far as a management tactic.
Thank you so much for all the great questions and for our team of experts here, both on NCFF staff and retired firefighters in our Firewise leadership. We really appreciate having access to all of you to be able to ask these questions and then get this information back out to the community. So thank you. Truly appreciate it. If that's all, Mike, you may need to go collapse. I don't know. It's been a long.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stay on the rest of the call.
Yeah.
I got a
Steve,
quick,
Jonathan,
can I ask Glenn a quick question?
Yeah.
floor is yours.
Have you tied in with Kevin Kyle for Soda Canyon treatment? If
No,
not,
but I
I'll
was actually, Barbara had emailed me and said to reach out to him.
okay.
Can you forward me his cell contact information? I wanted to get him in touch with the property owner on Old Soda Springs on the Atlas Peak side who was inquiring about some, a neighboring property, a large neighboring property.
Okay, I don't have your contact, but if
Okay.
Sherry, you can make that connection
Yep.
between Kevin and Glenn, that'd
Yeah.
be good.
That would actually be really helpful because I wanted to get his information over to the landowner because he was working with this other large landowner previously. I was told that I just learned that a couple of days ago. So
Okay.
appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you.
I added that to our list, Sherry, along with our land trust future ecological call and camera reviews. So
Absolutely. Thank you. I'll connect you up, Glenn.
Mhm.
We'll connect you up with Kevin and
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I looked around. I couldn't find his information in my long
yeah,
untended email box. So it's probably in there somewhere.
relatable.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Sherry, did you want to flip back to
Yeah.
our
To the agenda?
Yeah, well, again, the agenda tonight was a little bit loose. It was like, we want to have this opportunity, have this discussion, make sure everybody had their opportunity to ask questions. I'm really leveraged, again, so appreciative of, Mike and Joe and Steve and Jonathan and Lon, all of you sharing your expertise. And then with any time left, just kind of talk through what's going on at Napa Firewise, just a couple updates, and then hear from all of you.
And also use this as an opportunity to hear from you what your needs are for communications and all the fire things, as has been mentioned and bears repeating. It is still the thick of fire season, and there's no time like the present to start reminding people. I feel like a lot of people are paying attention again about fire and interested in getting help with their defensible space or getting involved in the Prescribed Burn Association. Or there are lots of ways to get folks engaged. So. I would love to hear from all of you tonight or by email or text or whatever, the things that you would like support for your fire safe councils in any regard.
Just looking at this slide here, just the reminder about the chipping program. We were doing a team cleanup. NCFF staff all got together today, a large group of us, and went and did a defensible space cleanup up in Angwin. And the Napa County chippers are going to be coming by and chipping the large piles that our team created. And they, the gentleman in charge said that chipping is really down this year. They're just not getting that many requests. And so he's wondering, are people feeling complacent, or have they just already done a lot of the work? But I just wanted to mention it to all of you that he said that was across the county. So to the extent, we see areas that may not, or neighbors that may not be aware of it, if we should be doing more with that. But I just wanted to mention it because he clearly stated today it is down and they're just not getting the requests.
Oh, that's good information. That's certainly something that we can get out to our neighborhoods and just let them know that they won't have a long wait.
It's on demand. Really is on demand shipping. They're the only demand.
And I think it's a use it or lose it kind of thing. Like if there isn't a demand for it, we may not have access to such wonderful free service. And it was so much fun doing that work today and piling up everything for the shipping program to come. So if it's another great activity for days that are cooler and damper, because you don't want to necessarily be out there, but even just dragging brush, there's still a lot down from snowpocalypse a few years ago. Just helping clear things out and taking it out to the road to get chipped. So,
yeah, it was a great exercise today because I know that we've talked a lot about your fire safe councils doing these sort of community cleanups. So to organize one on ourselves and then really leverage Mike for his expertise of this time of year. Is this okay? Is the weather okay? Is this a good day? Is this a safe day to do the work? And thinking through all of that for us to kind of help put together a guide for when you want to do this with your own FSC. It just helped us to live the experience today. And I have the blisters to prove it.
Yeah, you'll see our poison oak showing up next week in the coming days. Okay, and then on the communications end, we've talked about some of these things before, but it is an ongoing question, I think, for a lot of fire safe councils, like how best to manage communications within the fire safe council for emergencies. And we've got a number of different techniques deployed throughout our fire safe councils, but Donnie and Gretchen are kind enough to share their information with the call them all that they have through Bright Arrow.
Okay, I'll jump in. We've used it for about 3 or so, 4 years. We haven't really needed to use it for an emergency. And it's an all-call system that we pay a subscription to called Bright Arrow, and it's relatively inexpensive, like $300 or $400 for the year. We have set up all of our contact information database, emails, landline, cell phones, and text numbers, including the first person in the household, second, third, however many out there, gardeners, whatever that can be in the database. And then we've divided it into neighborhoods because we realized it's really designed for like a local situation before the main emergency system kicks in. So we might have a neighbor that accidentally started a fire in their yard while they were doing some kind of, veg work, or their car caught on fire. And so there's a fire, but it's not necessarily a wildfire. 911 gets called, but people in that neighborhood might see smoke or see a fire truck rushing by. So that's a way we divide it into neighborhoods, so we can just call Tucker Acres or just call Diamond Mountain Road or just call Cordham Canyon to say, there's an incident. Here's where it is. Just pay attention. This is not an evacuation. We're not taking that responsibility in any way to advise people what to do, other than to just be alert and to know that something's happening. To give everybody a heads up, if something did get big. And so far, we've mostly just used it to do test calls to people as sort of a phone fire drill to see how it's working. And we have a group of about 10 key communicators in our Fire Safe Council. Mostly they are people who live in a house where they have a view. So they can see out, like, oh, I see a fire behind us over in Sonoma County, or, so they have sort of a way to see something. And it's a redundancy, let's put it that way. We're not replacing 911. We're not replacing Napa Valley, Napa Emergency Office. We're not replacing watch duty, but we're sort of like a first notice to our local neighborhood. Some people think it got a little complicated, and we meet once a year, the key communicators, our little committee, and we do a drill amongst ourselves. Is your app updated on your phone? Can you get into it? Can you figure out how to access those lists that you want to say, your message to? And practicing giving a voice message or practicing giving a text message. So, we meet every spring, or this time it was June, but that way it's, because every year we need to kind of refresh our skills. And as I said, it's pretty inexpensive. It's kind of bigger than what we need in a way. It's designed for schools, to call everybody in the morning or whatever, but it seems to be functional for what we need. And there are other systems we looked into that seem like way more expensive, and then maybe they limit it to like only 30 calls. And we have, several hundred numbers that we're calling. If you're duplicating a cell phone voicemail plus a cell phone text and a landline and all the emails in the house. So that's, several hundred. And it doesn't cost more, to have more numbers. Any questions?
It's probably worth restating, Gretchen, that you did, that there are strategically located people who have extra training and are authorized to say something as simple. We know there's a fire on the other side of the valley, but we're seeing smoke on Spring Mountain.
Right, something like that. And it's also for, like, if there's, in the winter, you could let people know that there's a landslide and a certain part of the road is closed.
Exactly.
It's not only for fire, it's sort of an emergency local outreach before the main 911 situation kicks in.
But it doesn't involve a great deal of structure before a call can go out, I think, which is
and we have a script that we've developed where you're supposed to basically be very clean about your message. This is who it is, Diamond Mountain Fire Safe Council. This is my name. This is where I'm located, and I see XYZ, and be alerted to it, and pay attention. So keeping it clean, not using it for every time there's a lost cat or anything like that. It's just, we're all kind of in agreement that we're only going to use it very carefully and not to be alarmist. So if you're on Cordham and you get a call, the person that's way over on Tucker by Bothay Park, they don't need to know at that point that there's something going on way over on Cordham. It's miles apart. So that's why we divided it up into different neighborhoods.
You just used it recently, I understand.
Well, you mean used it for an emergency alert?
Or did you for the
we didn't. So
You
that's
didn't.
a perfect example of not using it, because we saw a fire that was way across the valley that was clearly blowing away from us. So what we did in that case, our executive committee, me and Donine, part of it, decided to just put out an email to the entire list, And that catches people who might be out of town or who might not live here full time. But it wasn't an emergency alert. It's like it was more of a general, pay attention, there's something big happening over there. But if it was nearby in our neighborhood, then it would be useful to use it. And I'm just going to jump into, I see that you have radio written down here, GMRS radio. We have a very nascent little radio group, but we haven't really, we haven't made it robust. A few of us have radios. We've checked in on a Thursday at 5 a bunch of times over with Old Toll Road and Top of Diamond Mountain Road. And then it sort of goes nowhere. It's like, okay, the novelty is over, everybody's busy, and half the people aren't around at 5 o'clock to do the check-in. So we haven't really taken it to another level. And then there's kind of a complacency of like, well, with all the different cell services, and unless it was a a giant problem where all the electricity went out, it's unlikely we would use the radio. But we should be, practicing it so that we can use it and know what channel to be on, to connect with to get our message out to another section that isn't without power.
Well, in 2020, which is probably the worst case scenario, there were a lot of people who lost cell service power and internet all kind of at the same time and at the worst possible time. But I think with the radios, we have to almost kind of figure out a reason why it would be more than just a little bit entertaining to use them, so we become facile with them, as opposed to just kind of having this clunky thing that looks like.
Right. It works. The system works. I mean, but like we know how to tune in at 5 o'clock on Thursdays to a certain channel and talk to our neighbors over on Old Toll Road. But if there's an incident, we haven't taken it to the next level of who's on first. One strategy is you have, different people on the radio team assigned to check in once an hour, and then people can check in with them and then communicate like, I'm trapped over here and I need, emergency services. So there is a protocol. We just haven't really gotten up on the step with it.
There's a group, I think, in Franz Valley who are very committed to this. And we have talked to them a little bit, but again, this is something that's nascent, you said.
Yeah. And Sonoma County has a robust system because they have the whole Western County, the whole coastline, where they don't have cell service anyway half the time. So if their landlines are down, they're really stuck. So they have a very developed GMRS radio system. And I've attended, and Frank Mueller has attended, 2 or 3 workshops and seminars with them. So we see the potential. We don't feel the urgency here. So it's to be continued. But that's our answer so far.
Is there anyone else using them?
Linda Lou and Michael Riggy on top of Diamond Mountain, and then across the valley, Yvette Floberg, and then also Marla and Dale.
I meant in this group. In
this group, not particular. Of you guys, not Diamond Mountain
yeah.
Road. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Of the other fire safe councils.
I feel like Calistoga, Sherry, might be doing something with
Yeah,
radio.
Calistoga uses them also across their neighborhoods. And it's been a topic of conversation because a lot of our fire safe councils do have issues with cell service, especially during when you need it most, it seems. But little pockets. The Soda Canyon has been the other interest. I didn't put on here, but there's been interest in some kind of a other alert system, like a siren. For Soda Canyon's been pursuing that for a while, and Calistoga had talked about it a little bit, and also various estates has talked about it. I think Jonathan.
Well, didn't Calistoga have multiple siren tests in the last year or two? Doneen, do you remember that? It seems like there were many siren tests.
Yes, no, you're right. And St. Helena has had those too. But what are they for?
For the volunteer fire department, St. Helena is at least is to call out the volunteers from the hills.
Mm-hmm.
With communications, it is an interesting one. And if there were other fire safe councils that were interested in the radios, we might have a little more robust Thursday at 5 conversation.
Well, it also could be very helpful from the leadership standpoint if Napa Firewise set up kind of a person that would be in a leadership position for that and kind of run some sort of a meeting that would that would pull from all these different little pockets, because we're all kind of just limping along. Also, early on when Frank Mueller brought this up and got it started, he got pushback from Napa Fire saying, we don't key into it and we don't really want a bunch of citizens throwing out a lot of information. And then versus in Sonoma, Sonoma Fire is super linked with the GMRS movement, and they're very cooperative. So since that, I think Napa Fire has gotten more receptive to it, but that's one of the reasons we kind of lost steam.
It might be worth trying to pick it up a little bit from.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, in Pope Valley here, there's pretty good sized areas with no cell reception.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to be able to cover that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in all of this. So thank you.
Yeah. It's a pretty neat system, you know, and then people use it not just for emergencies, but they take it out camping, and, you know, it's not a walkie-talkie, it's much more robust than that, but there's a lot of uses for it. And people use it on their ranch, you know, going around working their ranches where there is no cell service. So it isn't just emergencies, but to make it work for emergencies, you have to have a regular connection, a regular protocol, so you know when and what station to get onto to reach somebody that is waiting there to hear from you.
Yeah.
So it's on this, are there multiple channels? Say
Yes.
one channel is for fire, you know, talking to the county directly or whatever, and then there's another channel that two ranchers can use between each other. And
Yes,
that's correct.
There's a big plus for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very versatile, and the channels are assigned, and you can, you know, when you go hang out with a super radio geek nerd, they will program your radio for you, so you get all these channels built, you know, embedded for Knights Valley and, you know, France Valley and over in Sonoma and, you know, us, because it's a bit of a learning curve if you're going to do all that programming for yourself, but somebody can just do it and download it onto your radio, and then you're good.
Can I just get a ballparky of what it might cost?
The radios are cheap.
Like
They're like
$40.
they're
$40 on Amazon.
$50. You go online and you get a federal radio license for like $25. I mean, you can use it without the license, but you're supposed to have a license. It's not a walkie-talkie, and it's very cheap to get into it. But even over in Sonoma, their Sonoma Firewise, or that group,
Fire Safe Sonoma.
Fire Safe Sonoma, they raised funds and distributed for free multiple of these handheld radios to various people. They're very active in that system.
Wow.
So we could do more to sort of centralize it and
Yeah.
lift it up a bit more for all the little remote pockets that we have.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
my mentor Sherry, she'll be the we'll work on this together.
Okay. So
Well-
when you want to, you know, you can kick in and talk to me, but also Frank Mueller here on Diamond Mountain Road. He
Sure.
he was our sort of spearhead, and he knows a lot about it. And he got himself a nice big tower, and you can put a antenna on your car so you can drive around during an incident and still be connected. And there's repeaters. I mean, you can move up in the levels, but meanwhile, I'm able to talk to people that are on the top of Diamond Mountain Road, and I'm on the side, and I can talk to people that are across on Old Toll Road without any extra repeaters or boosters.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
I know we are at time. I want to be mindful of that. I know we had a lot of discussion this evening that we wanted to have about the Pickett Fire and also talk communications that seemed super relevant given this last week. So thank you. The only other things we just wanted to remind you, we're standing up another defensible space cost share. More to come on that in the coming months. So right now it's stage one. It's the CAL FIRE really wanted us to focus on the greater Berryessa area, which includes Angwin. Angwin includes Pope Valley, Capel Valley, Berryessa. So we'll be following up with you as well about perhaps standing up again our neighborhood help program. So more to come on that. And then it will be open countywide. But again, the way the grant was written was we needed to first market to and prioritize residents in those areas before we open it up countywide.
I have a couple of questions. One in particular, do you guys have anything more to share about the beacon box, the implementation of beacon boxes at the beginning of roads that would contain, pre-fire plans and maps and stuff for first responders? And if you don't today, maybe that could be another next time.
I can give a quick update from Spring Mountain that we've just gotten the invoice from them. They suffered pretty tremendous losses, both their business and their personal homes in the Palisades fire. So they've been delayed, but we expect to receive the 4 boxes. We're finding the 4 boxes that are already at Firewise. We'll be installing the 8 boxes in Spring Mountain Fire Safe Council area over the next, hopefully 60 days. In those boxes will just be the pre-attack maps for now. And then in parallel, we are also going out and surveying neighbors and starting to gather database information on what specific assets are on each property, so we can provide more details, similar to how Mount Veeder has their amazing maps that are an inspiration for us all. So yeah, that's it's starting to come together finally. So we're thrilled. And just for those who don't know, we did it through a combination of PG&E money as well as fundraising within our Fire Safe Council. We did a movie fundraiser here at the Cameo in St. Helena. She does do those on Mondays. So if you're ever interested in trying to do a fundraiser, that's a really nice, easy way to do it. Just recommend not picking a movie with a lot of fire stuff in it, Try to go off topic is
a comedy. So given that you guys have made this investment in 8 boxes, I then presuming that you have gotten feedback from Napa Fire and CAL FIRE that this is something they are adopting and that they will utilize if needed.
Yes, they're committed to the project as well and would like a, deconstructed beacon box type set of information at the Big Tree Road station nearby, so that they know what is in all of the beacon boxes going forward. We have close coordination on that with JC and Eric. Eric also drove the property, drove the proposed locations from the steering committee's list, and he made further refinements to pinpoint exact locations. We've approached property owners. We're still in the middle of kind of finalizing exact location of the posts. We've got a handyman identified to install them.
Okay, well, that's
hopefully happening. Yeah, hopefully happening soon. Brandon will know more next meeting. Lori, maybe we could add that to the agenda for the next meeting once we're rolling.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Getting there.
Okay, so it looks like you got some other stuff up on the screen here. I don't want to dominate.
I'm sorry. No, if you're tired of looking at that same screen, I was to the next one. But yeah, no, please, questions, and you guys, feedback from all of you is really cool.
Yeah.
And the information you can share with us and with each other is really valuable. So thank you.
Again, we had more content than, we're never sure how long the discussion was going to go on the Pickett Fire, and but we can, follow up on some of this next time. I just know we're at 6:06 and folks often need to get to dinner. So
I'm
unless
done.
unless there's further questions, please feel free to follow up with us outside of these meetings. We're always available to you. I've taken notes on, beacon boxes, future about the ecological. We are going to be following up with you. You can expect to hear from us on your Firewise annual renewal if you are a Firewise community. We don't want to race to the finish in November. We want to make sure everybody's on track with that. So we will be reaching out, setting up office hours, seeing what we can do to assist to make sure those renewals get in. And with that,
Okay. Well, one last, Sherry, let's talk tomorrow.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. We've got a couple Firewise USAs to push across the finish line, and we'll be.
Yes. We're getting close to 22 of 22 is our goal. 22 Fire Safe Councils, 22 Firewise communities. And Phil's going to help us get there. And
my goal too. My goal too. So yes.
And can I just say thank you to all the Firewise folks.
What about the $10,000 stipend we're supposed to get? Oh, I guess not.
That was Monopoly money.
Phil, if you can chase one down, I would be ever appreciative. Just let me know how that works. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
No, we're not alone.
Thanks for the updates and everything.